3 weeks of NFL action are officially behind us, and it's fair to say that I have not been disappointed. In fact, I've been so invested in the early takeaways that I've opened up a hot take bakery. And I've been baking up some hot takes. Welcome to the Hot Takery. I'm your head chef, Nolan Collery, and joining me today are two hungry NFL analysts who want to see what I have cooking, Brendan Conroy and Logan Bourandas. I'm going to pull some of my hot takes out of the oven and see if my dear friends will choose to cash in or take them straight to the trash bin. So, gentlemen, let's get started. Take a bite out of this one for me. The Philadelphia Eagles are electric this year. 3-0 to start, and I'm going to say it. My first take of the night, they're the best team in the NFC. Logan, what do you have to say?
Well, we'll see what my other sous chef decides in just a second, but in terms of just the 3 weeks here, it's way too early to tell. There are a lot of talented teams in the NFC. There are every year. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, you can never really count them out. Same thing with the Green Bay Packers. They always have their bad week one, but they've bounced back with two big wins, including one against those Buccaneers. And looking at that Eagles team, those 3 wins, they had to hold off a comeback against the Detroit Lions in that first week, and then they beat a primetime Kirk Cousins-led Minnesota Vikings, and if you've seen the record on that, you know it's not that great. And then the Washington Commanders, and if Carson Wentz was up for more than 10 seconds in that game, I'd love to find that clip because he was sacked a lot. There aren't a lot of convincing wins yet with this Eagles team, and it's still too early to tell if they're still the team to beat.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you, Logan, as hard as it is to do, especially when it comes to the Birds, I don't think we can really say that they're the best team in the NFC, obviously not the NFL. I think the biggest factor that we need to look at right now is what they're going to do in the future, what Jalen Hurts is going to be able to do with this offensive line, what his defense can do for him, because as we saw yesterday, his defensive line was helping the whole entire time, take Wentz down, not really making too much of a threat for the Eagles when they had to go on offense. It was a rather easy game for them. I hate to use that word because obviously it's 60 minutes of football, 4 quarters, you play the whole entire game. But at the end of the day, if they're not getting wins that are legitimate or against tough enough teams to really give them a fair evaluation, sure, they're 3-0. Sure, that is the best record that we're seeing in the NFL. Great. But just because they're 100% record, 1,000%, doesn't mean that they're going to be that type of caliber team going into the playoffs. Sure, this is the best Philly team we've seen in a while. Doesn't mean that they're the best Philly team ever or in the league right now.
I think that's a fair enough take. And here at the Hot Takery, we know that not every option's for everyone. I mean, come on, guys. But let's look at something else, something a little new. The Buffalo Bills, they still look like the team to beat. They just lost to my own Miami Dolphins. However, everyone seems to think that they're the team that's going to take the Super Bowl, and it's all centered around Josh Allen. In my opinion, he's the one who's going to win MVP. It's his award to lose already. What do you guys think about that?
I honestly think that this picture right here, if I could, I would make it a statue. I think Josh Allen is the greatest person to ever play the game of football. I think that what he is doing with these Bills right now is what we want to see for years to come. I think he is the franchise quarterback. Unfortunate series of events that unfolded last year as they lost heading into the Super Bowl, so they didn't get that appearance. They didn't make the legacy of a team that they were expected to make. This year they can. This year they have the ability to. Josh Allen already throwing 10 touchdowns in these first few games has been on his money, especially as a passing quarterback. That's where he strives. He's not on Lamar Jackson where he can easily run the ball or he's the most mobile quarterback, but he's done what he can with what he's got. He's got guys like Diggs out there, great receiving line. I think the Bills are coming in to even week 4 with enough momentum, regardless of a loss to Tua, who a Tua train is the train that I don't want to be on, and that I am just not a part of, because sure, they got the win over the Bills, arguably the best team in the NFL. I don't think the Dolphins are going to do much. That last game is not a good indicator of what the Bills are going to be like. I have a good feeling the Bills are going to go arguably 13-3 on the season, maybe 12-4, but I think that their team right now is one of the best we've seen in a while and one that will make a lot of noise heading into the playoffs and, potentially a Super Bowl caliber team, but also a Super Bowl caliber winning team.
Yeah, and those records definitely possible 2 years ago, but they've thrown an extra game there with the new schedule. I think it's a hard disagree here when you take a look at Josh Allen. He's had a great start these first couple games, but there are a lot of other great MVP candidates to stand out so far. Could mention one player fighting for a new contract out in Baltimore, one Lamar Jackson, who has more touchdowns than every other team combined except for his own team in Baltimore. That is still a pretty good case because we mentioned Lamar, he's fighting for a new contract right now, and that Ravens team also very competitive. And you both mentioned it, but even Tua he has the weapons around him right now. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, both off to great starts, and another Penn Stater, Mike Gesicki. It's a talented roster that Tua has to work with, and he's shined so far. Obviously, we'll see what the health is moving forward with Tua, but those are two notable names out there, and obviously Patrick Mahomes, another guy still out there every single year, just threw his first interception in his last start against the Colts. So there are a lot of great names for Josh Allen to compete against, and he threw 60 passes over that last week to beat the Miami Dolphins. If the Bills are going to run him down like that every single week, that energy could be a concern moving forward in the season because the run game still isn't there with Buffalo. It's kind of Josh Allen carrying the Bills, which does work now. We'll see if it works later down the line.
You know, I think those are fair opinions. Now, I'm a great baker. I can't lie. And like any good baker, I leave my hottest stuff for the end. I am not saying that Father Time has caught up to Tom Brady. I have been a fool for that in the past, and I will not do it again. However, the offense down in Tampa Bay absolutely terrifies me. I am officially pressing the Nolan Collery panic button on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. I don't know if there's enough to get it done down there. What do you guys think?
I think it's also really hard to tell right now because as we saw, their game yesterday was not the best they've played against the Packers. Obviously, they got the loss 14-12. Not the best we've seen pretty much from any of those two teams. But the biggest thing that concerns me is their game against the Saints a week ago. Their offense did nothing. So that wasn't a question of offense. That was a question of them being saved by the defense. So at this point, with Tom Brady not being able to, as you can tell, hold in his emotions very well or really compose himself in these late games, especially against tough quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers or a Saints team that he's played a lot in the past, it's tough to tell. How is he going to react? How is he going to play out the rest of this season? Coming off of a huge personal break where he retired, got out of retirement, maybe is having some problems with his wife at home. Who knows? Whatever that is, he's having problems outside of the game, and that if he brings into the game, it's going to prevent him from doing what he's able to do. That's be a push-through quarterback, be a quarterback that doesn't worry about the younger athletes or the younger prospects coming up, but that focuses on himself. If Father Time is going to get Tom Brady at any point, it's going to be now. It's going to be in his 44, 45, 46, however old he is season, it's going to be now because of how many years he's been in the league. If their offense is going to struggle, Tom Brady's going to play a big part in it because, as we've seen, he controls the offense, and no matter how old he gets, no matter how old Father Time gets, he will always be the one controlling that offense. They need him. A big indicator will be how Brady does with this Bucs offense throughout the rest of the season.
You talk about that Bucs offense. It's really something that's from last year to this year. There's a lot of new pieces with that team, and I'm sure for any quarterback, and especially one that has seen this kind of change like Tom Brady, that's going to take a few weeks to get by. I mean, they lost Rob Gronkowski. They lost Antonio Brown to a different incident earlier on in the last season, but they replaced those guys with guys like Julio Jones is in there now, and we haven't really seen this new Bucs core together for a whole game, as in that first game against the Cowboys, Chris Godwin and Julio Jones both get hurt, and then last week Mike Evans has a suspension, so we don't really see Tom Brady with all these weapons that we're so familiar to seeing week after week. So I think we still have some time to kind of see what this Bucs offense is going to be like, and we've seen what Brady can do with those weapons down in Tampa Bay, the stats he can put up. So I think there's still a little time for him to turn things around.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious, Logan. Maybe my baked goods aren't for you. Maybe you're gluten-free. I don't know what you didn't tell me before the show, but that's going to be all the time we have to serve tonight at the Hot Takery. For Brendan Conroy and Logan Bourandas, I'm Nolan Collery. Be sure to keep your baked goods hot, but your takes even hotter.
Hey everybody, thank you for tuning into this edition of Penn State Sports Night. We hope you liked that segment.
And we're sure there's other Penn State Sports Night segments that you are going to love as well. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content.
And check us out on social media for updates and behind the scenes clips and pics. Follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with all the action.
For all of us here at the Belisari Media Center, we are
Penn State Sports Night.